This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Okay. Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for June 3rd, 2019. My name is Vern Carlson, and I am the chairman of the commission. Tonight we have a few public hearings and also some site plans. Let me just tell you briefly how that works. The public hearings will be dealt with by the commission. When they're through, we'll open it to the public. If you're through, then of course we'll close the public hearing, and and that'll be the end of that public hearing. We're going to site plans, there is no public input, and in deliberation, there is no public input. That being said, if there's any questions at this point, just let me know. Alan, is there any changes to the agenda? Well, let me introduce them first. Andy, out to my extreme right is our town engineer, Andy Bellavacqua. Next to him is Alan Fredrickson. He's our land use administrator. Over to my left is Mary Lee Radjuski. She's our court reporter. Next to her is Pam Miller, our staff secretary. With that,
Jim Giletti, regular member.
Teresa Ranciato Vili, regular member.
Ron Penton, vice chair.
Richard Wilson, secretary.
Louis Varelli, alternate.
okay. Well, we have all the regular members here tonight, so there'll be no alternates sitting. With that, Alan, is there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, items 6 and 7 are off, which concern 71 Leonardo Drive. They have not successfully completed their wetland application, so hopefully they'll be heard next month. But they're off.
All right, very good. If there's anybody here for that application, it will not be heard tonight, so that is that. Other than that, anything else, Alan, that you want to tell us about before we get going?
No, I think we're good today.
Okay, very good. Well, we're going to start right off with the public hearing, and with that being said, Rich, would you call on P1904S, a special permit?
Sure. A special permit application as authorized by section 5.1.1.23 of Bill Ryan, applicant, National Partners North Haven, LLC, owner relative to 381 State Street, map 34, lot 111, plan entitled 381 State Street, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Nefis and Young Engineers, Incorporated, dated December 2018, scale 1 inch to 20 feet, IL30 zoning district.
Okay, is there anyone here for it? Okay, step right forward, sir.
Mr. Chairman, you just want to make sure that the record indicates that we're taking this.
Yeah, we'll be taking also 4, which is the site plan with this, and 5, which is the CAM, which is P1845 and P1845A. Okay, with that being said, go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jim Galligan. I'm with Nefis and Young Engineers. We're located at 1355 Middletown Avenue in Northford, and I represent Mr. Ryan, Mr. Bill Ryan, and the. Is this recording okay? I think so.
Yeah, it doesn't augment, it just records.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so I represent Mr. Bill Ryan and National Partners Realty regarding this application. Tonight's application is for a relocation, basically, of enterprise car rental. Just to give you an idea where we're located, this is the National Lumber Yard. This is the existing log sign. I don't get to use a log as a point of reference that often, but here we go. I think everybody knows where the log sign is. The existing enterprise is located just to the left of the entrance to the lumberyard, and they're basically moving that the enterprise rental over to the other side of the frontage of the property and creating a leasehold area. The property is using an existing curb cut driveway that's located on the far side of the parcel. There's a driveway that comes in with parking all around the existing building. The existing building is here, and there's a one-way route around the back. The building does have a internal car wash. The car wash is just for the rental vehicles only. There is no public use or other use of the car wash. We have a detailed drainage system attached to the design. We have two infiltrators located on the parcel to detain the first inch of runoff that is required by DEP and is consistent with the MS4 initiative by DEP. That drainage is eliminating an existing drain that runs through the parcel, and it's a 24-inch line, and they're replacing that 24-inch line with a 30-inch line that comes down and connects back into the drainage system that runs out towards the to the pond in the back. The rear of the property is in the floodplain. There is no change in the floodplain elevation. There is no fill in the floodplain. The grades stay identical to the area in the floodplain. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward application. There are 20 parking spaces here with the site plan. The 20 spaces are for employees and also for their 10 or 15 or so rental vehicles that they have. I believe that the Planning and Zoning Commission has to consider the parking is the way the regulations are written, that you have some input into what the parking requirement is. Like I say, they usually have somewhere between 10 and maybe as many as 15 vehicles for the parking, and you can see we've got parking here, in the back, and also on the side. The Wetlands Commission also asked us to design and install what they call a rain garden in this small area here. There was a seep down here, so to improve the environmental quality of the application, we've got a small rain garden area here, and that rain garden area connects back into the existing drainage system, or the proposed drainage system, and then runs back into the existing drainage system. And yes, sir.
Is this much bigger than the other side where they were?
It's 11,000 square feet. It's not a lot bigger. I don't know how many. What do you have for space right now?
Probably a little bit more parking area.
No, he's talking about the building.
Oh, the building?
Yeah.
Your name, sir?
John Petrie with Enterprise Holdings. Petrie. Sure. The existing building is roughly somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,500 square feet. The proposed location is smaller than the existing
Smaller.
location. Yes.
Okay. And how many employees you have there?
3 to 4 full-time and probably 2 to 3 part-time, depending on the season.
Okay. Sure enough. Well, I'm familiar with the parcel, and you're through wetlands finally with this. And-
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct, sir.
Well, I just opened it to the commission here, and Jim or Teresa?
My question, where is the existing building on that drawing?
Well, this is a blow-up of the new building.
That's just the building. So where is it relative to that building? Okay, yeah.
Okay. This is the lumber yard in the back.
Right,
This is the existing facility over here.
okay,
And then this is all the way over, there's a billboard sign right over in this corner here.
okay.
And the new building's gonna be situated right there.
So what's gonna happen to the other building?
Mr. Ryan will pursue another occupant for the
Okay,
building.
so it's gonna remain, you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
gonna do it?
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's gonna, well, I'm not sure it's gonna remain. It's been sold.
But
I think the
there's no
structure's gonna
proposed
stay.
site plan change that would remove it from, it's still on the site plan, correct?
Right, yeah, the structure
It's
is.
a separate
structure's the
parcel.
same. Yeah.
That, okay, that's kind of that gets my next question. So that's not on this parcel, that's a separate parcel?
This parcel in here, yes, where the existing enterprise is
Yeah.
a separate parcel, that's right.
Of its own? That's the only thing
Correct.
on it? Okay. And I saw the issue about there originally not being sidewalks, and now you put them on there, and are you still asking for a waiver of those sidewalks?
Yes, we have sidewalks in front of the new building.
Yeah.
So there are no sidewalks in front of the rest of the lumber yard. So we are making a request for a waiver of the sidewalks in the rest of the lumber yard.
And based on what are you making that request?
Well, the low level of foot traffic in the area.
I don't have any other questions.
No, I'm fine right now. I don't have any other questions. That was gonna be my question, so.
And let me ask you, regards to the sidewalks there, to the south of this parcel that you're building on is Pierce's building, isn't it?
Yes, I believe that's
Yeah.
right.
Do they have sidewalks in
I
there?
don't believe so. I do not think so.
You're
No,
not sure?
no, they do not.
They don't? Okay. Good enough, I just want to know that. Jim, Teresa, you okay, right?
I am right now.
Okay. Ron, you got any questions there?
Yeah,
How you doing, Ron?
can you explain to me what the status of the floodplains are that you're dealing with? I'm concerned about the 12-foot elevation.
Okay, the floodplain is back in this area here, all right? There's no change in grade in the floodplain area. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the grade down, putting in the processed and road base, and making sure that there's no change in storage or any of that nature in the floodplain. So there's no change in grade of the floodplain in the back in this area.
Right, you misunderstood my
Okay.
question. My concern is the elevation of the building perhaps not being high enough. I mean, most plans that I see have 3 or 4 different flood lines on them for 100 and 500 and coastal area management and this and that and everything. Where are we? I mean,
Okay, the coastal area management is way off of the page.
Okay.
Okay, the 100-year flood elevation is the flood elevation that is required by insurance and required by the regulations. And that's down in here in the, I think it's elevation 10. And then the building is up here at elevation 12. The building is out of the floodplain entirely.
Out of the 100-year flood.
That's correct.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that question is because, as everybody knows, there are plenty of parts of the country that are getting hit with 500-year floods. And it's not unusual these days. It's happening all the time. So my question is why aren't we raising some of these buildings up some to save future damage and problems?
Oh, I think the reason why it's set at this grade is because as you can see, we had a fairly steep grade in the back in order to meet the 100-year. If we brought the building up higher, it would make it even steeper in the back. And quite frankly, it doesn't required by the regulations. The regulations say we have to, I know what you're
but
saying.
The same regulations have seen thousands of people getting
Flooded, absolutely,
all around
especially in the
country.
Midwest.
And we're no
Yeah.
different than
Yeah.
the rest of the country, so, and Andy, part of that question, and you're gonna be hearing this more often from me in the future on other applications, why aren't we going higher? It doesn't cost that much to bring in another foot or two of fill.
Well, there's no regulatory requirement to.
Again, don't really care about regulations, because everybody who follows regulations is getting flooded. So why don't we think?
That's why it's not my comments, because it's not required. I know, and I understand where you're coming from, and I certainly appreciate that, but, I mean, I think that's something that the commission should be discussing as a matter. Should we be requiring more, which we could.
I agree, but the commission doesn't like to change anything.
I'll change. You're wrong. I'll do it.
I won't hold up this application, but it's something we should be.
Sounds like food for thought, Ron.
Well, to Ron's question, I mean, obviously I don't see your utilities. Was there thought of bringing any of your utilities up off the ground, anything that's coming in? I don't know what you have, but to raise anything that's coming in if a flood happens.
Well, I think that the only utility you'd have here that could be a problem would be air conditioning.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you've got your underground water, sewer, so the air conditioning would really be the only utility that we'd be
Yeah.
concerned with.
And any electrical boxes that you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the electrical boxes are going to be raised anyways. I mean, you know what I
Okay.
mean? They're usually somewhere between knee-high and waist-high on the buildings anyways.
Yeah, I know, but I worked on Hurricane Sandy stuff, so yeah, that's the
You know what
same.
it's like, believe me,
Right,
yeah.
right, so it's just a thought.
Yeah.
Rich?
I'm all set.
No, sir. Okay. Anything else from the commission?
No.
Staff? Okay, let me open
I think
up.
we've addressed everything on this.
Is there any,
Just one point of clarification. The sidewalks that you have shown on the plan are okay. You're
Yes,
just
sir.
asking for a waiver for extending those onto the rest of the site.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I thought the comments said that the plans were revised to show sidewalks all the way across. They're not?
No, they
No,
are.
just in front of the lease area.
No, I suggested that they should be, but here we are, they have shown
I thought
them.
in the comments it said
partially.
they did show it, so it only shows it in front of the actual
Correct.
building?
Correct.
Yeah,
not across
yeah,
the
across this
road.
area here.
Correct. They're asking for a waiver for the rest of the
I
site.
got it.
And there's sidewalks in front of the existing Enterprise building?
No.
No, there are
No,
not.
there were not.
There was a big a discussion about that
No,
at
there's
that
not.
time.
Okay.
They were originally required and they came back and it was waived somewhere, I'm gonna say around 05, 06.
Before May.
Okay.
Okay. All set, Ron?
Yep.
Jim?
Yep, I'm ready.
Good. Okay, is there anyone here would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in favor? Anyone in opposition? Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Public
Thank
hearing
you.
is closed. Okay, we move on to item 2, P19-16. It's a re-subdivision application for Cinemark. You want to read that in,
Sure.
Rich?
So the re-subdivision application of Cinemark USA Incorporated, applicant and owner for 3 lots relative to 550 and 570 Universal Drive North, map 21, lots 2 and 11. Plan entitled Land of Cinemark USA Inc. 550, 570 Universal Drive North, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by BL Companies. Dated 4/19/2019, scale 1 inch to 60 feet, IL 80 zoning district.
That's that. Yes, sir.
Good evening. For the record, my name is John Schmitz. I'm a civil engineer, project manager with BL Companies, 355 Research Parkway, Meriden, Connecticut, representing the applicant tonight. We're here tonight for a subdivision of parcel 2, lot number 2. You may recall that this overall property was subdivided following the site plan approval back in 2014 into 3 parcels. So today, there's the main parcel, which contains the cinema, parcel 2, which contains some of the parking, the north access drive, and the grass field area that you see, and then parcel 3, which is Chick-fil-A. So what we propose to do is to subdivide parcel 2 into 3 parcels, so we have a total of 5. Parcel 5 would be approximately 1.168 acres, parcel 4, 2.41 acres, and parcel 2, 4.39 acres. Lot number 5 would be subdivided under the text amendment that was referenced in staff's comments to allow the zone to comply with the requirements of IL 30. The zone is currently IL 80, but under the amendment, this lot can be developed in a smaller lot size at IL 30, and that's what we propose. We did meet with inland wetlands and received approval last week. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Jim, you want to start, or Teresa? Whoever?
Well, it doesn't matter, but I'm a little confused. Wasn't one of these lots the hotel?
It would be,
So I'm just trying to understand why we're doing what we're doing.
I think I can answer that. They were poised to make the application for the hotel as they are now. And Cinemark had some questions about their ability to get the additional lot that is depicted in the center, right there. And they wanted to make sure that they could get that extra lot. Naturally, I said, if you want to make sure you get the extra lot, you better apply and get the commission to approve it. So what they could have done through a lot line revision to start the hotel process to increase their certainty that they could get the other lot, they decided to do the subdivision first, the re-subdivision, and then they're poised to come back for the hotel and a tenant on that middle lot. Does that make sense?
On the middle lot being which
Right there.
lot? That
Right,
one.
lot
So
five.
the hotel reportedly would be on lot 4, what's on now is proposed lot 4?
That's correct.
And that was what my question, when we did that regulation, did it have to be a particular size, and is this a good enough size for what our regulation said for the hotel?
I'm with you. Yeah, it meets our requirements, but I'm trusting that size works for the exact number of units that they want. So
So-
they are well aware, and they have sculpted that line.
And that's my only question.
Yeah.
So, because we did the regulation to essentially allow the hotel to go there, but there are certain requirements to put those, so they still have to come in with a site plan to put the hotel up, and this would have to be big enough and fit the whole thing.
Absolutely correct.
And do you guys think it does?
Right, now, I don't represent the hotel, that's another developer, another applicant, but we did work with them in
Right.
crafting the lot lines to make sure that
This
the
is
the
good, this
lines.
works for them?
Right, and again, if we were leasing the land, we wouldn't need subdivision at all, but the deals are such that they want to own
Everybody
the
wants a
own the
home, I
property,
got that.
correct?
Yeah, we were told that last time. So is there a proposal for lot 5, or are you just kind
There
of
is.
making sure there is?
There is, and we intend to come in with an application later this week,
Later this week?
yes.
Okay,
So it's possible you would entertain both of those applications
Same
in
time.
July.
Okay.
okay.
And if you create the lots, you can, if there was a minor tweak with the line, they could do a lot line revision and wouldn't
Yeah,
have to go
I
back to
just
the
don't,
process.
I just don't want to hamstring us later on. That was my only,
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay. You got that, Jim?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Teresa?
and lot 2 is basically remaining parking and the access road, correct?
That's correct at
Okay,
this time.
all right, no, I'm good.
Good. Ron?
I'm curious, John, explain to me Lot 2. That's just being used for parking and access?
Today, yes, so,
Okay, well,
under,
that's-
under,
you said the today word, so is there a proposal for something else to go on Lot 2
not at this
in the
time.
future?
In the future, yes. There's room for different development. We've been looking at different ways to craft a tenant. Cinemark, the developers have been looking at different tenants, what can fit
So
and who can fit.
ultimately, the plan is that in addition to Cinemark, there'll be 4 additional entities on here.
There's Cinemark, 1.
Right.
Chick-fil-A, 2. Hotel, 3. Another development, 4, and potentially a
Yeah.
5th
5 in
building.
total, right.
Right.
Okay.
Correct, that's correct.
That's what, yeah, I just was unclear on
It's
Lot 2.
a weird lot, though, but.
Right, that's what I mean. So,
And depending on the tenant, what works, again, there could be a lot line revision. I would anticipate potentially between Lot 2 and Lot 1.
but you talk about everybody wanting to own these lots. If somebody owned Lot 2, wouldn't that take away the entry for Cinemark?
Cinemark has the south, there's, down where Barnes & Noble is, there's a south driveway,
Right?
which is part of Lot 1.
So are they going to abandon that north entry?
Well, there'd be cross easements for access, so they wouldn't have ownership rights to it, but they would have access rights to still, drive back and forth. All the lots have cross easement.
All right, so the plan is to leave that upper entry, but it'll just have an easement to Cinemark?
That's correct.
Okay,
And of course, both lots 4 and 5 and 3, none of them have, although they have direct frontage on Universal Drive, they don't have any
Right,
curb
no
cuts. There's no direct
and they
access
won't
to
be
them.
asking for curb cuts?
They're not, that's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay. And
No, go ahead.
I'm not done.
I got you. I just want to start. I want to know.
Lean
we're
this
not
way,
cutting you
Brad,
out.
lean this way. There you go,
I don't have a problem with the subdivision.
no fighting.
I'll tell you what I do have a problem with, is that it's been over 4 years since Cinemark got our first approval application, and as part of that, Cinemark seemed very, very happy and willing to grant an easement to the Trail Association with the town for a hiking trail along behind there. It's over 4 years ago. Since then, you've come back and asked permission for additional subdivision approvals, which we've granted, for reduction of bonds, which we've granted. Still don't have the easement. And I get lots of calls from people in the Trail Association saying, why does it take 4 years to get an easement? What am I supposed to tell them?
Right. So I did speak with staff about this when it was brought to my attention, And I did a little bit of research. I spoke to both David Little, who is Cinemark's attorney, as well as Eric Desmond, who is the town's attorney, or rather, he represents the town and the Trail Association in this. And I was copied on some correspondence, and all I can tell you is that they've been negotiating back and forth. Everything I've seen is that everybody's in agreement, but it's just a matter of the attorneys dotting the i's and crossing the t's. I saw one piece of correspondence from last year where the original grantee was the town of North Haven, and then they wanted to switch it to the Trail Association. So that has to go back as a request, and it came back and said, yes, we're fine, change it to Trail Association. And then there was requests about insurance liability that came back. That was accepted. So I tell you, we did a map showing the location of the easement 4 years ago. It's really just been the attorneys going back and forth. It's a slow process. I don't. I can't put a date on when it will be finished. They do have, I think there's still part of the bond that's outstanding. I mean, it was a condition of approval, the original approval, so they are required to provide that. And I just don't have a good explanation for why it takes so long, but I can tell you that they are still working on it actively.
I mean, I know there's been a flurry of activity on that issue. I would suggest that if the attorneys had spent half as much time working on the easement as they did answering questions about the easement, it would be done. Could you please convey to your client that at least parts of the town are losing patience and would like to see this happen sooner than later?
I will let them know that.
And
Yeah.
sooner being defined as less than 5 years from now, when you're legally required to do it.
Yes.
We'd like to show a good faith effort.
So that bond has, for the original project's not released at this point. is
So
that
it's
correct?
been reduced. We cut it almost in half,
Right.
but there's still a significant bond out there, so.
The
You would think
original
that-
bond was $2.7 million. It was reduced, I think, 2 years ago to $1.1 million.
But it's still bonded, it's still out there. You would think that you'd want it done, but.
Yeah, perhaps since the other things are coming in July, maybe you can light a little fire underneath the attorneys and we can get that in July as well.
And I have spoken with both attorneys in the last week just to kind of get status of it. So I let them know, and I think that
They'll have a lot fewer questions to answer. That's all I have, thank you.
Rich?
I'm all set.
You're all set. Okay. Louis? No problem. Okay. Staff is all, good? Anything from staff over there? No, good. Okay, is there anyone, we'll open this to the public, is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in favor? Anyone in opposition? Step ahead, sir.
My name is Brian Munson. I live at 107 Carriage Drive, North Haven. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm a member of the North Haven Trail Association, whose goal is to have a trail near the Quinnipiac River here in North Haven. About 3 years, but maybe it was 4 years here, we learned that Cinemark had agreed to, at a planning and zoning meeting, to grant an easement behind their property for the purpose of a trail. Since then, I have contacted Alan Fredrickson several times about easement and a few other people. Each time I have been led to believe it would happen, but it has not happened. Last fall at a trails meeting, I learned that our president, Steve Fontana, is to sign a contract with Cinemark for an easement. However, since then, each month there seems to be a new problem. Insurance didn't receive the signed contract. A change needs to be made. I heard from Steve today, they're worried about a handicapped person in a wheelchair going on the trail and maybe stumbling. Bottom line, they find one excuse after another. All this is why I am here to urge you not to give Cinemark what they want until they honor their prior commitment to grant an easement for a trail. Finally, the plan of conservation and development talks about the need for trails for walking and recreation. You can make this happen. We can't make it happen without your help. Again, please say no until they do what they previously committed to do several years ago. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Step forward.
Commission members, Fran Notaro, 35 Green Hill Road, North Haven Trail Association Treasurer. I'm here on behalf of Steve Fontana, our president, who could not be here this evening, and other board members as well. As Brian has stated, that's the process that we've been going through, I thought perhaps for 5 years. Bond reduction. We've met all of the requirements that have been asked of us by their attorneys. And on April 14th, Steve Fontana sent the final changes, awaiting his signature, to Mr. Eric Desmond at Ryan & Ryan Attorneys on April 14th. We have not yet received a reply. Steve's email today, June 3rd, said that from Eric, June 3rd, 2:16 p.m. Steve, I have sent the documents to Attorney Little for his review. When I hear back from him, I will let you know. I think too much time has passed, and I don't think we should move forward with this until Cinemark has honored what they have promised us.
Okay, thank you very much for your thoughts. What's that first name,
For him.
Okay, is there anyone else like to speak? Speak ahead, please.
Hugh Davis, North Haven Trail Association. I live at 1261 Ridge Road. Vice President of the Trail Association, and both Fran and Bryant eloquently stated the case. I'm not going to go back over that ground, but I think absolutely you should not accept their permit without having the signature on this easement. I mean, this easement would add valuable space to the trail that extends along the tidal marsh, and would be a beautiful addition. And they really need to live up to the bargain, which they haven't done so far. So I'd strongly urge you to say no to them until they live up to their word. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak? Mary?
Mary White, Summer Lane. So I would like to suggest a compromise. I think from what we've heard that they're close to getting the signature. So because it's been 4 or 5 years, I would suggest that the applicant be asked to leave this open and then have the application stay open till the next planning and zoning meeting. And this way it'll give the opportunity for them to show their good faith and to come back with the signature. And so this way the easement will be granted.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, thanks, Mary. Anyone else? Speak up.
Yes, hi, I'm Don Rockland, 29 Dogwood Road. I'm also one of the volunteers that's been trying to bring a beautiful trail with birds and flowers and marshes to this town. There have been dozens and dozens of letters and conversations, but because granting this easement is not tied to making profit for anybody, it has just been passed on. So if you will make their application dependent on granting this, this would be a wonderful thing for the town and the community.
Thank you, Don. Anyone else like to speak? Anyone else in opposition? Okay, any questions? Okay, where's the applicant? Do you want to respond to those?
I would just simply note again that the easement is already a condition of approval. The applicant is already required to provide the easement. While it has taken a while, admittedly, I worked on many projects where easements take 6 months. Again, there have been issues with easements between the attorneys back and forth. I would hesitate to blame one party as opposed to the other. It's an agreement between two parties. So there's always back and forth going both directions. As I've stated, I've spoken to both attorneys in the last week, and they're working diligently to move this forward and get it taken care of. Again,
Want to hold on just 1 second? Jennifer? I let the record show that Jennifer Capola, our town attorney, has just arrived. You know, I spoke to her earlier and asked her to come to this meeting to speak to this situation that we have right now. So go ahead, finish up your...
would you like?
No, go ahead,
Sir,
finish
because
up.
I'd like to respond if she had
Okay.
anything to say. So, but yeah, no, I'm done. I mean, like I said,
Yeah, Jen, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 6 people in total, I guess, speaking in opposition to this cinema application. They're from the Trail Association, from what I gather, and they feel that we should tie this into the approval for the cinema theater. Before they get an approval, they should have their signature on the dotted line for the trail before we can approve the application or deny it, whatever the case may be. If you'd like to speak to that, I wish you would.
I did look into the status. I'm sorry, really. Jennifer Capola from Sewell and D'Onofrio, counsel to the commission. I did look into the status of the trail easement negotiation. It's my understanding that and I did review some emails from the counsel for the town in the matter, who is Eric Desmond at the town attorney's office, Ryan and Ryan. And the status was that in April, there were new revisions proposed to the easement by the Trail Association, by Steve Fontana, and it appears that those were not, in fact, forwarded on until today by Attorney Desmond to counsel for Cinemark, to David Little. And again, I did review a number of emails. The easement language appeared to have been finalized. There was some back and forth with Eric about the execution of the documents, and then there were new revisions proposed by Mr. Fontana in the middle of April. And again, those were not, it was an oversight by Eric. They were not forwarded along, though, to Attorney Little, counsel for Cinemark, until today. And that's the status of it. I don't think that you should be conditioning this application on execution of an easement. That has nothing to do with the application itself.
Nothing to
I
do
think
with
this
this application.
application has to be evaluated on its own merits.
Well, and this is one of the things that kind of concerns me legally. It's like the original application, they've got to do the easements, but they've got time under the law with the site plan to complete their site plan. So I don't know that we have the ability to say, as much as we want it to happen, that, listen, you have 9 years or 11 years, whatever the ridiculous amount the state gives, we want you to do it now or we're not gonna approve this. And that's where I'm afraid that we're at. But I think we can make it very clear, like, the board's not happy, people are not happy, get it done. Because this is not the last time they're going to come here. But I have a problem. I don't know that we really can say, don't do this, which is perfectly okay under our regulations, unless you do these. There's a lot of things we're waiting for because the law lets them not do it in a timely manner. All we can do is pressure them. But we can talk about it during deliberations, but I see that as a legal problem.
Okay, very good. Is there, before Jennifer leaves or whatever she may do, is there any other questions now that we have town attorney who has the information for you regarding the trail? Anyone like to speak again? Okay. You want to finish up with whatever?
I'd just like to Yes, I'm Mr. Schmitz, SCHMITZ with BL. Just that, as Attorney Capola had indicated, I did speak to both and received similar information from both attorneys that they are working toward a resolution.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Any questions from staff?
No, I don't think so.
Any questions
No,
from the
no,
commission?
not right now.
Any from the commission on this side? No. Okay, very good. And that will close this public hearing. All right, we will move on to the next public hearing, which is a special permit. It's P19-17S. And that is the Christ Church in Montauk, 211 Montauk Avenue. Albrecht is in, one second, I want to read this in. So, you want to read this in?
Yeah. Okay, so P19-17S, special permit application as authorized by section 2.1.1.5A of Tammy L. Yulbrick, applicant Hope Christian Church owner, relative to 211 Montauk Avenue, map 18, lot 75. Plan entitled Proposed Subdivision for the Calvin and the Naomi Beacon Land of the Gospel Tabernacle Incorporated, 211 Montauk Avenue, Assessors Map 17 and 18, Route 75, Fitch Street and Judd Drive, North Haven, Connecticut. Prepared by Diversified Technology Consultant, dated 9/24/98. The scale is 1 inch to 40 feet, R40 zoning district.
Okay. The
Hi,
floor is yours.
my name is Tammy Ulbrich from the Ulbrich Boys and Girls Club at 72 Grand Street, Wallingford, Connecticut. My position is the board chair on the board of directors. So we are asking for a variance to allow the Boys and Girls Club of Wallingford to expand into North Haven and occupy the lower level of Hope Christian Church at 211 Montauk Avenue in North Haven. And that's it, I guess.
Good enough.
Sorry.
Good enough. So you want to, go ahead.
No.
So you want to kind of move the Boys and Girls Club, part of which is in Wallingford, into North Haven, into the church property here.
Right, so from the Boys and Girls Club, you can open numerous sites. Once you have a provision for one site, you can open multiple sites in nearby areas, towns, whatever. You don't have to then become a whole new name and things like that. It's just under an additional site location under that approval for Wallingford.
Very good, very good. So it's just a matter you want to get the club going there, and you're going to open it up with 20 or 30 boys and girls, I presume?
Yeah, there's an identified need in North Haven for elementary and middle school for after-school program. We have a drop-in after-school program, and the church has about 10,000 square feet on the lower level. We currently reside at the Wallingford site at 5,200 square feet, serving about 80 kids a day.
Total.
Total.
Right. Okay, very good. Just stand by. Jim?
So tell me what you're proposing to do at this site. How many people, how many cars, what hours, what's gonna happen here? Or what are you proposing to happen?
What we're proposing to happen is to have an after-school drop-in program. We've already, in Wallingford, we provide a before-school program that starts at 7:30 in the morning, and then at 9 o'clock, the kids go to school. You know, the same or a different group come back in the afternoon. Usually the afternoon care is quite a bit more. In Wallingford, we average 80 kids in the afternoon program. We have about 10 kids in the morning before school program. So it's a much smaller program in the morning. And then, various evening programs we run.
So, but that's, I'm not trying to be smart, but what's gonna happen here? I hear you're telling me what's happening in Wallingford. How many, do we
So
have any idea?
we're anticipating the need in North Haven to be somewhere between 50 and 100 kids.
50 and 100 kids would
We anticipate opening with about 20 to 25 kids.
So, and how would they get there?
They would they'll either be dropped off by a parent or potentially their school transportation. We're still working on transportation.
So you're talking 50 to 100 kids getting dropped off and staying for how long, and then presumably being picked up, right?
Right. They would typically in the afternoon they're dropped off, depending on the middle school versus elementary. When the school lets out, there's about an hour leeway in between those two drop-off times. All of the kids are picked up at 6 o'clock. The program ends at 6 o'clock. However, we run some additional programs. We run basketball night, some things like that, some game programs. We run a torch club, which is similar to a 4-H club or junior achievement for some of you that are aware of that.
So what would be the hours that would be open in the evening? The latest, let's say the latest hour that would be open in the evening.
The latest, Carlos.
You want to step up, sir, and give your name?
Because I suspect people want
I
to
was
really
waiting
know
for-
what's going to be happening in their neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. My name is Carlos Colazo. I'm the executive director of the Oberg Boys and Girls Club. But Collaz as in zebra O. And so what we will be doing is pretty much modeling what we have in Wallingford. The hours would be from 2 to 6.
2 to 6.
Yeah, because the identified need right now is middle school aged kids. There is a program in town that runs a program, an after-school program for the elementary. So we would be pretty much servicing those middle school kids. And if there are elementary school age kids that are looking for services that would prefer our location, we would accept them as well.
Okay.
But
So-
what about the nighttime, like you're talking
just
about
occasionally,
basketball?
like we have an occasional event in the evening. It's not, we're not opening a program in the evening, we have an occasional event.
Yes, that is correct. So our general operating hours would be 2 to 6. If there's an event, so we run events sort of like a Thanksgiving event where we invite the families. That would be more of an evening event where we thank the parents for coming in. So those would be specialized events, but they would happen throughout the year sporadically, probably 6, 7 times, no more than that. But any of those programs would be in-house, inside the building.
And what about weekends?
No weekends. We generally don't open during the weekends.
And right now, no morning program is planned for North Haven?
As of right now, we would like to offer an AM care service, which would model what we do currently in Wallingford. So that's to provide those families, those working families that need to get their child to school but go to work earlier than they would. So we would be providing that service to the families.
So then I have a question for you, maybe I'm getting ahead, but if parents had to go to work, they drop off their kids, how would the kids get to their schools?
So what we're working with Patrick Sturck and the superintendent and also the transportation department to see if we can model exactly what we do in Wallingford as well, and that is work with the department of the transportation department to provide transportation from the location to the school. If we're successful in acquiring that partnership, that's how the kids would get from school, from the location to the school.
So it would be town transportation for the kids, not Boys and Girls Club transportation?
That is correct at the moment. If we do not successfully secure that, then we will not provide an AM care at the moment, just because we just wouldn't be able to provide that service at this current time.
What would the hours of AM care be?
7:30 till about 9 or so.
If you Carlos, I haven't spoken with you guys, since I took the tour and talked to you before you made application at all. Were you able to meet with any of the neighbors down there? I suggested that you have a meeting with the neighbors there and get them together as a group. I did with the pastor, and I don't know if you ever managed to do that.
At this moment, we haven't. We were trying to just ensure that we met with zoning and got the proper approvals. But we'd be happy to meet with the neighbors.
Well, I was hoping you'd done that before
My
you
guess is
came
you're gonna
before
have
us.
Yeah, usually we suggest you meet with the neighbors before coming to us.
Okay.
Because wouldn't you want to know what they want in their neighborhood?
I think we're about to hear.
I think we're going to hear
I
that.
think we're going to hear.
We're going to hear some about that at this point, but I just wanted to know where you stood as far as the meeting went.
Yeah,
And apparently you haven't had that meeting.
We're more than willing to answer any questions.
Oh, I understand. I
And all of
believe
that,
it.
we are in the middle of a neighborhood in Wallingford as well, like smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood. Like, we could be a house. That's how close we are.
Well, there is some houses that Tammy right
Yeah.
across
There are a lot of
the way
them.
there that I was some concerned about. Very good. Well, why don't we see if there's anybody want to speak in respect to this? Okay, you have any more you want to put on your presentation?
No.
You good for now?
Yeah, Pastor Jim wanted to make sure that letters did go out to all of the families. around
Okay,
the
well,
surrounding-
we're going to hear about that in a minute, I guess. Why don't you step forward, Pastor? Yes, step forward.
Jim Detweiler, 1 Hemingway Road, North Haven. Detweiler. 1 Hemingway Road.
How did we do after our meeting?
How did we do?
How do we do after our meeting? I don't think we did too well, but
As
in any
far-
event, did you reach any of the people? And
We had connected just verbally with a few of our neighbors. We didn't have anything formally like a pizza get together, but I
We
know
did not.
the letters did go out, and I know we haven't heard anything specifically. I hope we will tonight if there's any concerns.
Okay, well, I was just concerned, what happened, because it was a long
Right.
time ago
Right.
that I was there.
Right.
Yeah, okay, very
Okay.
good. Well, we'll see what goes on here. Thank you. Anything else in your presentation? Are you okay? Okay, good enough.
Answer questions as they
Sure enough. Anything from the commission right now?
Not yet.
No, not right now.
None?
Yeah, I've got just a small technical question. I'm a little bit confused because in the application it says proposed re-subdivision. Is that a misprint?
It doesn't say it in
title
the
of the
application, it says it on the drawing. They used it, an older drawing.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
That's what confused me.
I was confused
Often-
initially too.
Okay,
often we have that situation where.
so just for clarification, there is no proposed re-subdivision? This is
It's just
just,
No site improvements.
it's sort of a
No
change of
site
use
work,
type
no,
thing, okay.
no re-subdivision. The
Okay.
existing property is what they want to utilize.
My other questions have been answered, so.
Rich, we got anything at the moment?
No, I'd like to hear what the neighbors
Lou?
say.
No problem. Go ahead. Is there, let me open up to the public again. Is there anyone here, my goodness. Let's try it this way. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this?
Hello, Eric Scarinuzzo. I'm on 2350 Ridge Road in North Haven. Scaranuzzo. I just want to talk a little bit about the need for the town, because I think this is why we wanted to expand into North Haven from Wallingford. Right now, there's some options available for after-school care, but they're very costly. And despite North Haven, many people considering it a pretty well-off town, we have a lot of people that have a lot of low income. We have a lot of single parents. We have a lot of parents that have multiple children. And what this is going to provide for the town and for the parents in the town is affordable after-school care. The cost to be a member of the Boys and Girls Club is $150 for the year. The options right now that are available in the town are much, much more higher, larger, definitely higher. The facility that we're going into is a perfect setup. Very few houses around this facility can see what's going on the grounds. Obviously, we're in Connecticut. There's not too much stuff that's happening outside the facility. Most of it takes place inside. Right now, it's being used as a church, and it functions as a church, and they have people that rent the place out currently. So there's already cars coming in and out of this facility. There's a huge parking lot that's available that could definitely hold people coming in and out. There is a school that's located right around the corner, Montawees Elementary School. So they see traffic during these times of operation that we have. So in my opinion, I'm also a board member at the Boys and Girls Club. I want to say that. I'm also a member of the North Haven Steering Committee, which is basically a group of people within the town that are pushing for this to happen. There's been several articles already in the paper about this, so I don't think it's any surprise if anybody's been paying attention to what's going on in the town. And we really want everybody within the town to get behind this and support this, because it's really going to be a great thing for the members. Definitely the families that have children between K and 8th grade. Now, right now, there's no middle school after school programs available. We will fill that gap right here. So I just want to get a point from being a person in the town and knowing people that have children in the school system that the need for this is very, very large. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Thank you. Okay, does anyone else like to speak in favor of this application?
Good evening, Pat Nuzzolillo, Nuzzolillo, 7 Mansfield Road, North Haven, Connecticut. I am a board member of the Hope Church and certainly welcome the opportunity for the Boys and Girls Club to occupy space in our building. I am a product of the Boys and Girls Club of New Haven, and it certainly was a home away from home for me. And I expect the same will happen for many children in our North Haven community. I think as Eric earlier indicated, there's a tremendous need, I believe, for parents who are working and children who are coming home from school without a parent being there, a latchkey child. The Boys and Girls Club would be able to fulfill that obligation and be sure that those children are in a safe home, able to do their homework and be cared for and have eyes on them to be sure that they're going to be productive and safe, ready for their parents to come to pick them up at our church. The need in my mind, after the articles that have appeared in the local papers and the conversation that has taken place in many places that I have visited, has been very positive. And my expectation is that as far as the surrounding neighbors are concerned, it will have little impact, if any, on the neighbors as far as sound or activity, as far as the Boys and Girls Club activity is concerned. I'm hopeful that this commission will honor the request of the Ulbrich Boys and Girls Club to go ahead and expand their operation into North Haven to fulfill the need of our town. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Anyone else like to speak in favor?
Good evening, I'm Anita Anderson, 32 Sheffield Road. Yeah, S-O-N. 32 Sheffield Road. I'm here tonight in support of the Ulbrich Boys and Girls Club in North Haven because I see that we have a need that needs to be filled in North Haven. We can start with the elementary school with the after school and before school program. But when Tammy and Carlos and Eric first brought this to my attention, what really hit me is the need that I feel is missed in our town, and that's for middle school age students. Middle school is an age where you have children coming from elementary school where their life was very, very structured. They're going to middle school now, and some of them are going into sports, some of them are going into band, some of them are going into art. But there's also a good dynamic of young adults who are not doing anything, and there's nothing in our town that really embraces that age. And I feel that the Ulbrich Boys and Girls Club will embrace these children. It will teach them leadership. It will teach them accountability. As you saw with Pat, and Carlos also is a product of Boys and Girls Club. it would be a wonderful opportunity for many of our children, the middle school age children, to have something to do after school that's constructive. I will say now, as for those that don't know, I'm also the Board of Ed, chairperson of the Board of Ed, and where I was speaking just now as myself, but I will talk about transportation just to give you an idea on that. Patrick Stirk, our superintendent of our schools, is very supportive of this program also, but he's working right now with M&J, which is our current bus contract, who we have our current bus contract with. And we plan to set up a meeting within the next several weeks to talk about what can we do for the bus transportation that will have low impact on traffic and the number of buses that would go in there. One of the things is that M&J bus, their depot where they keep their buses, is within the Montauk district. So every school bus that leaves, whether it's Clintonville or Ridge Road, when it goes back to the hub, it goes past Hope Church, where we hope to have the club. So that's just, I just wanted one of you to know that that was something that we are looking at too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Mary?
Mary White Summerlane. I am in favor of this. There is a need, clearly. I do have some questions, though. How much of the aftercare is outside? We heard that most will be inside. I kind of was wondering about a percentage on that. Will there be playscapes? Will there be basketball hoops? We heard that there could be as many as 100 kids in the after-school program. So for example, if that is true, there is a possibility that many parents could be doing pickup at the same time. So is there a plan for traffic flow, for pickup and drop off? Will there be stop signs, arrows? I mean, how are they going to handle possibility of that many kids being picked up around the same time? And then also, will they be doing new lighting? And if so, where will that be? And can it be pointed down and away from the neighbors?
Okay, thanks, Mary. Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to speak in favor? Okay. Anybody here like to speak in opposition? And this is just absolutely in opposition, not questions, but opposition. Are you in opposition? You don't want it at all? I mean, I just want to make it clear to you. And I'm going to bring up questions next. So, okay, so you want to ask questions? Come up. Sure, come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. My name is Melissa Daniele, and I live at 5 Rock Road. And I want to just say first that we've lived here for over 30 and a half years, and it's been a very quiet, serene neighborhood that we raised our 3 children, very active in the community. I am all for programs for children. I actually taught at Montauk School and started a Kids Be Fit program before school and after school. So I know the need in North Haven, and I kept reading the papers and saw that in the past, I guess the end of 2018, you were looking at North Haven Middle School area to put something, and I don't know, I had read about it in the paper, and I thought, wow, that's a great thing for the community. Moving forward, I am very concerned of, first off, I have questions because I did look on the Ulbrich Boys and Girls Club website, and it did state in the North Haven location coming in 2019 that they were going to start at as early as 6:30 in the morning. And also a teen program in the, I don't have my glasses on. Could my son please read? I cannot see the hours on there.
For the record, my name is Frank Daniele III.
What was your name?
The third, Frank Daniele III. So according to their website, it currently states that AM care for Wallingford is provided from 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. My concern is the noise ordinance of the town of North Haven starts at 7 a.m. Therefore, yep.
Excuse me, 1 second. Is somebody taking notes on this? Because I'm going to ask you to respond to these when we're through here. Okay?
Somebody with the applicant.
Yeah. Eric, thank you. Give him just a chance.
Yeah, I'll give him a
Okay. Okay, so go ahead, Frank.
I didn't see anything. So, okay. So going back, just because I'm bringing up the Wallingford Times, because as they mentioned before, they're kind of going to try and mimic their Wallingford location. So it's dated 6:30 to 9 a.m., 4 a.m., and the town of North Haven, the noise ordinance is from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. My concern is with the potential of buses, as they said, it adds noise in the morning along with the children as well. We're worried about the excessive noise potentially
Sure.
at that point. Do you want to continue?
And also, we did get a letter stating from Albrook Boys and Girls Club last week, there was no time of the meeting here, and it didn't say anything that was going on, just that they were going to be doing something. And I did come to your office and I did speak to find out the time, and then we had gotten the letter the following day from the town clerk stating, but that's all. We knew nothing of the caliber of what
receive a
they're
letter.
doing.
Did you receive a letter?
I did receive
Okay.
a letter, but I'm just
Thank
saying that we didn't know the time of the meeting, that's all. It was very vague, and then we had, but anyways, it's not important now. So, in retrospect, to go back, traffic, we're concerned. Our main concerns are traffic, liability. They also have future summer camps. I want to know if next year in 2020, are they going to have a summer camp in the premises? If they're trying to replicate what they're doing in Wallingford, that is a big question of mine. Okay. And then also evening, it also says the teen programs, I thought it mentioned something till 8:30 at night. They said they were only gonna have maybe 7 events a year. I would like to know that. And thirdly, our biggest issue is traffic. Hope Christian has 2 entrances. There's an entrance at Fitch and there's an entrance at Montewies. Montewies School, knowing that I live in this neighborhood, I leave for work usually at 7:30 in the morning. Traffic is crazy. There's kids waiting for bus stops. We don't have sidewalks in front of Rock Road. My concern is the buses going in and out. If you are going to agree and approve this, I think there has to be a system. There's 2 driveways. Even on Montewies and Route 17, the traffic is crazy. So my concern is not even for my peacefulness and serene, but the children's safety and everybody else's safety in the neighborhood. I think this idea is great. I don't know if it's the best idea to be at Hope Christian Church.
Okay, thank you.
Hi,
Okay,
Frank
you all
Daniele.
set now? We're all
I
set.
think, I mean, yeah, so it's
It's
basically.
not go around and
liability
around.
versus traffic. Yeah.
Hi, Frank Daniele. I live at 5 Rock Road.
Sure.
Just to piggyback on the traffic concerns, it is an issue in that area. The traffic is busy enough in the morning, let alone adding any more traffic to the area. We sit right facing the entire church parking lot. Privacy for us, I don't think there'll be any. Our backyards are facing, so I don't know how many people went with letters, got letters. I know we did, but we talked to people in the area and they didn't know anything about it. So we face that whole backyard there, and that's our privacy when we come home. So, and those are our concerns.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank, yeah. One more time, yes,
Yep.
sir.
This, again, it's Frank Daniele III. I just want to differentiate because he's junior. So I'm not sure how this works. I've never been to a meeting like this before. I do have pictures of our yard compared to, and I wasn't sure if you guys would be able to examine.
Sure, we'd love to
picture.
see it.
Can I bring this apart?
Yeah.
So it's just right there.
Sure.
I took pictures from both angles.
You know,
so from our yard and
I was down at your,
so
I did stop.
took, yep.
I did stop at your place there.
Okay.
Took a look at this
Yep.
when I was down at that time. Here it is, folks. You can go ahead and
Yeah.
take a look at that.
Vern, we have some photos, is that correct?
Yeah, there's a couple of, you see it when you get
Okay.
over.
And
I'm gonna
then
give this back to him.
the one last thing I want to add too is being a local resident, I never saw anything in the paper, so I was wondering which paper was this published in and what were the dates of the publishings?
Well,
So I was,
we can give you that. We
yeah,
can-
I just wanted to see, like if they.
Sure, we can get you that, Frank.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, sure enough. Thank you very much for speaking. This was his due, I guess. I'll pass that along.
So we'll mark this document
Well, I know
exhibit
this is
1.
David to me. This is his agenda.
Because he was holding.
Okay.
Hi.
Good.
Bob Fiandella, 217 Monteluise Avenue. I live next door to the church. Fiondella. And it's at 217 Monteluise Avenue. Really just to emphasize what has already been discussed, the traffic, the noise, the privacy. Right now it's a quiet church. Activities are pretty limited. I don't know the exact times, but Saturdays and Sundays, a couple of evening events. So it sounds like now it's going to be till about 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 to 9 time frame activities, 2 to 6 for this new organization, and then some evening hours I heard as well, and summer camps. So concerns are around the noise and the level of noise with, you know, kids are going to be playing sports in the yards and all that. So it's going to be a different effect than what's there right now as a church. So those are just my questions, comments, and emphasis on what's already occurred.
By all means, and they're well taken, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
I did look the area over very closely, and
Yeah.
I did suggest...
A little elevated
me.
to their property too,
Yeah.
so I can pretty much
Yeah, I
see
know
and
where you
hear
are.
a
I
lot
know
of
where you
things
are,
that
yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
My dog barks every time there's a car door shut just because she wants to know what's going on. That'll happen a lot more. But the traffic definitely is an issue.
Yeah, well,
You know, coming around the corner, coming east on Mono East, there's a dead man's curve there, and that's going to be right in front of the entrance of the church. So, things to consider.
By all means, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yep. Anyone else? Anyone else in up? Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Don Harger, 16 Judd Drive. Harger, Harger. 16 Judd. So 25% of my property, my backyard, butts up against the church. And I wanted to ask a couple of questions. We said that the kids are pretty much going to be inside. Does that mean they are going to be inside at all times on the lower level, or are they going to be allowed to basically be on the property outside? Can they leave the property? I don't know.
Well,
what the
he'll
situation
answer
is.
everything, Don,
Okay.
you know, as we go along.
Because if they're like my kids who do their homework and play correctly and everything else, I don't have a problem with it. But if they're kids who like to be a little bit rambunctious and sneak out and then kind of check things out around town or whatever, who knows whether they're going to be walking around on people's property, you know, things like that. The buses, 100 kids, that's a lot. How many employees are there going to be when there's 100 buses? 100 kids. So if there's 100 kids during the day, how many employees? Are they watching the kids? Do they have to stay inside? Can they go outside? Are they all North Haven kids? Are they going to be bussed in from other towns, or is it just for a North Haven, function for our families? That's some of the concerns I raise. You know, we've lived next to the church. I've been there almost 19 years. Pastor Jim's been great, and we've got a great relationship. But this is a whole new entity, really, basically, the lower level being rented out from an entity that's not under his jurisdiction. So I'm not sure how that's going to be managed. I'm not sure how the kids are going to be able to, stay there safely. A lot of traffic in and out. It was mentioned about the road on Monoese. It's an extremely dangerous road. And I went to the meeting when those condos were going in, and they had to widen the roads for that and things like that. But I'm really worried about kids on property and so much traffic in there. There are 2 ways in and out, but they're very, very narrow. There's just a lot of concerns right now about, how that all is going to happen. The hours of operation, certainly in the morning, if there's a town ordinance that doesn't start to 7, then I guess we could live with that. But, nighttime activities, I'd just like to know more about what they offer, indoors, outdoors, and things like that, please.
Very good. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anyone else like to speak in opposition to this? By all means. Very well.
Mike Morano, 11 Rock Road. I butt right.
Mike, what's your last name?
Morano, Morano, 11 Rock Road. 11.
Thank you.
Jim's been a
great partner, a great neighbor. Frank and his wife and family are behind, or to the side of us. Again, you know, our concerns are the same. Traffic. We are the driveway next to the church, so that's where the traffic's going to be coming in and out. If it's going to be diverted onto Montaguese Ave, that's a different story. But how many people are actually going to live you know, are they going to abide by going that way because of the that curb on the side of the road? You know, talk about 50 to 100 kids in our backyard. I got you know, property lines. We have you know, concerns about people being on our property, getting hurt on our property. So, you know, what are the age brackets? We're talking middle school kids. Are there 18-year-old kids back there? You know, so these are concerns that we have as families. You know, I'm not opposed to having something in our backyard if it's good for the community. That's a great thing. But you know, our concerns are, you know, our privacy, our lifestyle that we know as it is today.
It's certainly valid. There's no question
That's it.
about it.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to speak in opposition to this? Have any questions? If you have anything to say it now. Okay, you want to step up and respond to some of these?
Absolutely. So I'll stand this way because I would like to face people. One is that we do start Wallingford a little bit earlier. We have no intention of starting North Haven at 6:30 in the morning. We start at Wallingford 6:30 in the morning because we have a lot of people that work third shift, second shift, first shift. So because of the factory and the need there, we've addressed that need by doing that a little bit earlier. We are sticking with 7:30 in North Haven. So just to answer that question. The buses, the unique thing about Hope Christian Church is they have an entrance and an exit. They have two drives. You don't have to come in off of Montaguese. And I'm going to massacre this name of this street, Bituminous or something
No,
like
that's
that.
not a,
Bituminous.
that's a driveway.
That's what it's made out
It's a
of.
drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, so there's a number of possibilities for how that, but what we hope to do is come in off of Montaguese and exit off the other drive. And the unique thing about this church is that it is enough space in the parking lot if there was a turn, if there needed to be a turn of any kind. In terms of security and lights, we put in, you know, the church already has outside lights. But what we put in is we have a full security system that's going in. We've already had quotes on it. We know exactly. You have to be buzzed into the building. We don't let people in or out of the building at will. There's going to be no one running in and out of the building unsupervised. Absolutely not. You know, safety, we have a 60-page safety procedures manual that we follow at Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And it's very, very strict, as you can understand, an organization of that magnitude that serves over 1 million kids a year. We absolutely have a huge, the fire chief of North Haven is actually our safety advocate and committee chair now for the safety committee. So just so you understand that, it's Paul okay, so you understand that we've already had a review of the building, the exits, the entrances, the cameras, parents being able to pick up their kids. It's very, very regulated. The door that they come in and out of, it's one door in, one door out. They'll be supervised at any time going to a car. We have staff inside the building, staff outside the building. We staff our facilities to be 1 to 8. Okay, now that being said, so if there were 16 kids in the building, we would have 2 staff, plus we also have a unit director, and then we have a program director and an executive director that will be floating between the sites. So you can expect that you would have, for instance, with 16, we would have 3 people 2 for the kids, 1 for the overall supervision of the facility and the things. Our kids don't go out and just run around. So maybe you know, the Boys and Girls Clubs, if, you know, I'm new to the Boys and Girls Clubs. I've been with the club now for 3 years. So I had a lot of the same perception. We run 20 programs that dictate to leadership, to growth, healthy lifestyle habits, and all of that. This is not like kids just coming into the church. Obviously, Pastor Jim would not want that chaos in his church either. Okay? They don't just run every which way. That's not how it is. We run leadership programs, for instance. They get trained on speaking. They get trained on how they act as an adult. We run Smart Girls for science, mathematics, STEM technology programs. We are a highly driven program entity that helps the youth of today prepare themselves for a future. So if they don't go to college, they are prepared to, you know, we help them find jobs. We have a partnership with Paul Mitchell, the School of North Haven. They're our partner. They help us get kids that have that interest. We hope to start placing, we're working with the New Haven, the Manufacturing Association in Connecticut. We've spoken at the Capitol at State Youth Advocacy. So these are not kids that you just picture having a playground recess time. This is kids that they have a homework time, they have an interaction time, they work on projects together, they build art things, they build, we're working on them building robotics. This is just an extension of a lot of things that they do at the school. So I'm not, you know, sure, I hope that that's answered some of your questions on that. Summer camp, we're under a little bit different guideline for summer camp, but it would be right in that same neighborhood of amount. Summer camp typically runs from 9 to 4.
It'll run from 8 to 5.
8 to 5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to get up there, yeah. If you're gonna speak, let us know who you are and what you're saying, of course. She needs to take it down.
Carlos Collazo, Collazo, and yes, our summer camp program would run 8 a.m. till 5 in the afternoon.
Okay, so this gives parents, it does a lot for the town of North Haven. So the care for your child to come to the Boys and Girls Club, you know, is a less than $1 a day for after-school care. So what does that do for people that have limited discretionary income? That puts all of that money back in your town for other purposes. That supports a lot of other programs. It supports people being able to buy houses. It supports things like that. So that money that people are now paying $125 a week or $185 for 2 weeks for after-school programs.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I know you're doing a well job. And I just want to make a suggestion to you.
Yes.
At this point.
Okay.
That, you know, maybe it would be wise if you continued this to next month or whatever and had an opportunity to meet with the neighbors over there, because I don't believe we have the support of the commission at this point.
Okay.
You know, to make this thing happen, which I think we all want it to happen, but in the right way. And, you know, this commission we're very sensitive to the neighbors, and I understand, you know, where they're coming from as far as the noise and the lights and the drop off and the traffic. Everything that they mentioned is certainly a valid thing. But I think if you had a meeting with them, wherever you'd like, over the church or whatever, and get as many people as there as you can, and address all the things that they want to talk about, I think you can make people understand what's happening, and if we have to make some changes as far as traffic flow, time of operation, or whatever needs to be addressed, we can take care of it before you get to this point.
Okay.
Because we're not good here tonight. If you'd like to do, you need to tell me that you'd like to do that. If you would like to continue this, you can ask me.
No, absolutely, no. You're exactly right.
Ask me if you, tell me you'd like to continue it.
I'd like to continue it.
Before you say, okay, so you understand, I think you all got a lot of feedback. So you know, a meeting really should be holding not just with immediate neighbors. You see some here now, look at your neighborhood, figure out who's impacted by the traffic. Okay, I would send it out to people within, I don't know.
Well, I think it's
Whatever.
incumbent upon the neighbors
I
that are
think you should
here
get
to
everybody you
spread it
can.
with your friends.
Yeah.
So have this group, I think we're all on the same page. We'd like you to meet with the neighbors so they can identify, this is a very difficult way to do it. So if you meet with them, let them talk in what you want to do and what they can live with you doing, because it's their neighborhood, and let them invite whoever in your area, because presumably all your neighbors should care. And that doesn't mean you're going to necessarily agree, but at least go iron it out and then come back and tell us where both of you are.
Yeah, and have answers from the school board. Anybody who we just talked about would probably be a good idea to have at that meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Anything to add, Ron?
No, I would just, I mean, this isn't our first rodeo with something like this, and when Vern makes a suggestion like he did to have a meeting before, it's so that this sort of stuff doesn't happen, so that you've already talked to the residents, you've already heard their opinions and concerns, you come in as part of your presentation addressing the concerns, and you're right, you know, not everybody's going to agree, but the more you can learn and the more they can learn from you, and the larger number of neighbors you include, that's going to make everybody happier. Not maybe 100%, but it'll smooth things over and it'll make life easier for you and for them. So,
I agree.
Amy, what I want is I want the neighbors to be aware of what you're putting in there.
Yeah,
To
it's
know the
really,
traffic flow,
it's a really
to
an
know the
amazing
lighting, To know
program.
the security, to know what's going on.
Everybody likes the program,
Yeah.
that's not the issue. The
Yeah.
issue is the impact on them.
Yeah, I got you.
Ron, Rich, you have anything?
See, there's a lot of unknown fears that the neighbors have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the programs are and how it works, but the neighbors don't.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit down with them, right over coffee, whatever, you can have that discussion.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Folks, you heard what's going on, so that's what's going to happen to this will be continued along the road to a later date, and you'll certainly be aware of what date that becomes for the commission, and hopefully before that, you'll have 1, 2, 3 whatever it takes to, you know, get everybody aware of what's going on, and certainly get their concerns taken care of. This thing could happen, or if we can't, then it won't happen. It's as simple as that. So I thank you all for coming and giving us your information. Yeah, look, we're gonna take a 10-minute break while you guys clear the room. Are we back operating?
Looks like you're back.
And on? Okay. Okay, folks, we're back after that short break and the room is cleared, and we get back to business. Now we are on
Next page, item 4. Item 4.
Item 8.
4. 4? No,
Oh,
4's
I'm
done.
sorry, I'm
We're on
sorry.
item
Item
8.
eight.
8. Okay, this is the site
19-18.
plan for John Zerlickman, and it is P 19-18. You want to tell us about it, John? Sure. This is 85 Saca Point Road, and you can fill us in on the detail.
Correct. My name is John Zerlis. I'm with the TPA Design Group in New Haven, here representing Kirstine, which is the seeking an site plan approval this evening for a construction of a 9,000 square foot warehouse located at 85 Saca Point Road. Approximately 8 years ago, we appeared before this commission and the Inland Wetlands Commission for a property split, which was excess property from the Mossberg Corporation. It was a weird configuration we had to deal with in order to provide frontage for the lower portion of the property. About 5 years ago, we appeared before this commission for a 10,000 square foot warehouse on the lower portion that was approved, and it's all built. And this evening, we're seeking a approval for another warehouse to be located on Sackett Point Road in the upper portion. As I stated, it'll be 9,000 square feet. Internally, it will be just used for storage, but there will be about a 600 square foot office area within the building. We appeared before last month. We appeared before the Inland Wetlands Commission, and we received their approval. We also received comments from the town engineer and land use administrator. I'll touch on a couple of those in just a second. This is the site actually coming in off of Sackett Point Road. It's a bit of an odd configuration to the drive-through area or drive-up area. We have a loading dock at this point, and this allows a truck to pull into the site, back into one of the loading docks, and then maneuver back around and out. We meet all the regulations as far as setback, lot coverage, the number of parking spaces. The drainage for this site will be sheet flow into an enclosed system in the front, which will be piped to the back where we have a drainage swale and detention area. That will also allow an overflow into the wetlands. The lines on this map indicate the red line is the property line. The white dotted line is the wetlands line, and then the yellow is the 50-foot setback from the wetlands. As I stated, we appeared before the Inland Wetlands Commission. We just addressed those comments, if not, and we are continuing to finalize the revised plans, which will indicate compliance with the requests of both the town engineer and land use administrator. We received I believe it was just last week, we received planning and zoning comments, which we can comply with. We have no problem in any of the comments made by staff. I would like to just point out a couple of items in land use comments under recommended conditions of approval. The proposed type, design, mounting height, location, direction of power, and all timing of outdoor lights. There is no site lighting for this. All the lights will be mounted on the building, cut off directly down to shine on the face of the building. So there's no additional lights out in the parking lot. We anticipate that it'll be gated off and closed up like at 6 o'clock. There may be some times later, but that's basically what we're planning on doing for the lighting. We have a couple of small areas of landscaping. Well, we have landscaping along the front. Excuse me. Inland Wetlands has requested that we add some additional trees on the slope on the back side of the detention area, which we will address. And we will add those trees as suggested. We're asking for a waiver on the irrigation plan. It's a large lawn area that will be kept mowed. The owner doesn't feel that an irrigation system would really help. There's no islands, or there's one small island on the entrance area in there that would be landscaped, but again, that's low shrubs and wouldn't need any continuous watering or anything like that. The last item that I would like to address is, and as I stated, we can comply with all of the comments are basically minor, and we can address all of those in final plans, which would be handed in for review by land use. We would also like to request although shown, which I'm always reminded I have to show or not, a waiver on the sidewalk on the front. I did this aerial this morning, took it off the,
We know there aren't any.
there's no
We know
sidewalks
that.
on, yes, there's no sidewalks on that side, so.
I get it, sure.
But it is all on the other side of.
So mark this Exhibit A.
Of Second.
Sidewalk on the other side.
Yeah, so.
Plus, there's no place to go on this side. Other than flight support, which is down the corner, and I'm not sure what the, development is on the other side.
You're
I'm
too
sorry.
far away.
Okay? Oh, with regard to the sidewalks, you have flight support company on the west, and on the east, I'm not sure what the other, it's an industrial use that I'm not sure of. And that's essentially what we have. If you have any questions.
I got just a couple questions, John.
Sure.
Really not to the plan itself, I'll leave it up to the commission. But do you have any idea what this building is gonna be used for? And the reason I ask you this is because I see these neighbors quite often, and quite often they ask me what's going on here, and I really don't know. I know what the building, and I don't know what you plan on doing with it.
I know he's been talking to two tenants. One is a landscape company. I'm not sure who the other one is.
It's, from the information that I got, which is the street talk there, for what they told me, is, you know, they're talking about the landscaping company with keeping everything inside and no outside storage.
That's correct.
And, you know, parking of vehicles and no outside storage whatsoever.
That's
They were
correct.
quite concerned about that.
Those were comments that were raised by land use and the town
Well,
engineer.
My neighbors read that to me.
During
and I wanted to-
inland wetlands, and we agreed with that there's no outdoor storage. You know, there may be a car or two
But that's
overnight, but
just
it's not,
operable
nothing
cars.
that's gonna be staying there, and
Nothing
that's,
that's staying there on a permanent basis?
no,
Okay.
that's correct.
Well, that was,
And that's
that
a
was
note
my-
that's a note that's added to the drawing, that there's no.
And I'll let the commission take care of the screening for the front and whatever, and probably gonna want a little more, but you can start right down there with Jim if you like.
Well, just in follow-up, so, and I got no outside storage, and that's the biggest issue, but when you say it's a warehouse, what's that mean? What are you building? Is it just wide open bunker? What, you know?
It's a Butler building.
I don't know, that doesn't help.
Oh, I'm sorry, a Butler building is just, it's just a box, basically, with
Okay.
garage doors on it.
Okay,
Metal siding,
yeah,
insulated,
yeah.
lights, et cetera.
So is
on
it,
the
when you
interior.
open the metal doors, is it wide open or are they
It's wide
segregated?
open.
It's wide open,
He may divide it if he gets two
Right.
tenants,
right.
but
But it's open and he can divide it whatever way you want.
That's correct.
So like if it were a landscaper, for example, they would just keep all their landscaping equipment inside, that would be the purpose of the warehouse?
yeah, some equipment, some supplies, you know.
Yeah, I don't care what he keeps inside, but
Right.
as long as nothing ends up outside, that's.
That's
gotta be the
correct.
key.
That's correct. As I mentioned, it's a requirement that, or a request that was made at inland wetlands, and we've already added a note to the drawings that says no outdoor storage is allowed
Yeah,
unless we come back to the
And
commission
ask. Okay, fair enough.
requesting it.
That's all I have.
Oh, I don't have anything right now.
Okay, good enough, Trish. Ron?
Andy and Alan, are you satisfied with the way the lighting was described?
Well, I think it just needs to be put on the drawing. I thought there were fixtures shown on the building. That's okay. We just need an indication that those fixtures that are on the building will be cut-off fixtures and downlight.
That's
So
correct.
that's all we really need on that, but just to address it.
Yeah, and that's added onto the drawing, but the note that the building-mounted luminaires are cut off.
The one issue that I would have, I'm not sure that you can waive the irrigation system for the landscape portions. It doesn't say in the regulations that this is something that's waivable. It says it's required for all maintained landscaped areas. So there's that. I don't know what you're gonna do with it anyway, but if they're gonna have a lawn area in the front, that has always been the premise. All we've done here, if we had an existing building that already had a parking lot and islands and had its formation clearly established, from time to time, the commission has said, that's existing. We're not gonna require you to retrofit an irrigation system. So you're sort of grandfathered in, if you will. But for a new installation, I think it's a requirement of the rights to have it. It's not a requirement to have all maintained areas. That is to say, you don't need to show everything he indicates there in the dark green isn't required to be a maintained area. It doesn't have to be mowed. If it's not mowed, it doesn't have to be irrigated. But
I don't know how we handled that before, because I've been before this commission on many site plans where the note in the comments has been to put in irrigation, and we were able to get it not as a non-requirement.
it may have been something where it was an existing
Right.
structure, but.
Well, but you're saying if you just said they didn't have to maintain the area, they wouldn't have to put in irrigation?
Well, yeah, that's what it says. All maintained areas shall be serviced by an automatic sprinkler system or irrigation system.
So we can require the landscaping, but we just don't have to say maintained.
Yeah, if you put in landscaping stone or what have you, obviously
Well, I
you
mean,
don't
we
have to
want
irrigate.
trees, we could
Yeah.
still have them.
I have to tell you, honestly, I kind of like the irrigation anyway, because it keeps it green. I think it looks better. And I think it's something that we can talk about, because I'm not thrilled at the idea of getting rid of the sidewalks, but I certainly wouldn't want to get rid of both. So, just for my 2 cents, but we can deal with it in deliberations.
Well, I think we're gonna want some relatively heavy coverage in the front. If we're gonna put a fence or something across the front of the building, you know, it's a residential area directly across the street, and it's where the neighbors are certainly being concerned about what's going on in there, so, I'm surprised that they're not here, even though they couldn't speak, but I saw them yesterday, as a matter of fact, and they were asking me
Yeah,
about this.
there were like half a dozen at inland wetlands who
Sure.
basically their main question was, what's going on with it?
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Okay.
And we explained that to them, and they appeared to be satisfied.
How-
The entire property will be fenced in,
Be gated.
yes.
Mhm.
Does that show on the plan?
I think the fence is shown, yeah.
Is it?
Yes, it does,
I
it
believe
does
it.
show
I
on the
just
plan,
didn't look.
yes.
The,
You have heavy plantings in the front, did you?
Excuse me?
Do you have heavy plantings in the front, you know, that'll grow? You know, trees, for say, you know, evergreen?
Just
They do.
along here.
I
is
see what you
required.
have there, yeah.
Right.
well, they do, and actually, that was gonna be one of my comments. I
There's a relative.
I applaud John for the design. I like the fact that those trees are there. And in particular, I like it because we have somewhat of a difficult situation at times. You have the zoning district boundary line that goes down the middle of Sackett Point Road. So you have a residential zoning district on the north side, and you have an IL-80 zone here on the south side. So, how do they live in a compatible manner? I like the idea of putting those larger trees in, and I like the fact that it's a little softer use. You don't see outdoor storage for tractor trailers or what have you in here. No request for outdoor storage. I think the neighbors who asked the questions tended to be satisfied with those particular answers, that it, although it's industrial, and I think they'd love to see, well, they'd love to see nothing,
Right.
but they would love to see trees, but they'd love to see, 3 houses or what have you over there. And, the problem is that's not the town we live in, and we live in a town that's a mixture of commercial and industrial and residential properties. Sackett Point Road has been, a mixed use road ever since I was a kid.
Okay, Ron, you got anything else?
John, do you have any front elevations of the building? Okay, because my concern ties into a lot of the other questions about this being a mixed residential neighborhood, and do you know how high the eaves are gonna be? How high the gutter line is?
30 feet.
30 feet. Okay, so you've
25
got
to 30 feet is the
any
design.
windows? I'm
No.
assuming there's no windows.
There may be a window in the office area.
Okay,
That
so
would just
one
be-
door and one
that would
window
just be in
in the
front.
office. So frankly, my concern, which is completely subjective, is just a monolithic steel 30-foot high wall there.
It's the same building that we were in with,
No, I
except it's
get it,
smaller.
but the other building isn't on a residential
Oh, I
neighborhood.
understand that, yes.
So, and if we're up to me, I'd like to see included what we've asked for in other similar pre-engineered buildings, is at least on the front elevation, is a wainscot element to break it up, something that goes to the bottom of the windowsill. Do you think the owner would have any incredibly strong objection to that?
I don't see why.
Thank you.
If he does, he gets rejected.
I'm just trying to
No, I
break up
understand- I
the
understand what
element a
you're saying,
little
yes.
bit, so it's not quite such a monolithic box.
Yes. Well, there will also be a couple of bay doors in the front.
Couple of what?
Bay doors, garage doors.
Because it shows what I assumed was garage doors in the rear. It doesn't show any in the front.
No, because they haven't, the location hasn't been determined with the design of the building.
Okay, so these doors are just hypothetical, that it might be different than, so,
No, the door on the side,
yep,
okay, that's definite.
that's a definite.
That's
Okay, but it
definite.
shows two doors or
And there may,
more on the
and
rear.
along the front, there could be 2 to 3 doors.
Okay.
Where the office is? Where the office is, like on one side and then the other side of the
That's
office?
correct.
And these are garage
Okay.
doors you're talking about?
I'm sorry?
These are garage doors along the
Overhead
front?
doors.
Yes, overhead
Yeah.
doors, yes.
I had kind of assumed that the 3 that were shown would be all the doors that would be there.
That's,
You know, just to be clear, if someone owned the building were erected and in place, and someone said, I want to put in one overhead door, if it wasn't going to affect the traffic on the site, that would not be something that would come back to the commission, you know, to add an exterior door.
Understood. So, okay. No, I didn't have any other questions.
Okay, you good?
Yeah, I said I'm okay.
I'm all set.
You all set?
Yep.
Okay, anything else on this? Anything from staff? Okay, John.
One other point or comment that I'd like to make. If you review the bottom of the town engineer's comments, when he speaks about a bond, there's a comment that the bond would be
47.5.
47.5, but if they waive the sidewalks, it would only be 2,500. So I just wanted to mention that, so that if you do decide to waive the sidewalks, to set the appropriate bond.
Right, okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, we just move forward. We go over to one more here. We take a change of use. Is there a change of use from 2 Broadway here? Kind of sorry you're the last, but somebody's got to be the last, I guess.
Hi, my name's Jamie Preston, and I live at Pressman. I live at 119 Main Street in Durham. I'm asking for a change of use at 2 Broadway.
Tell us what you want to do.
We want to, I want to make it a hair salon.
Hair
And-
salon?
Yeah.
And this is which site in there, if you're looking at the, it was VNA, right?
Yes, it was the VNA. Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at the bagel place, is it to the right or to the left? You know there's a bagel place there? I think it's to the right, right?
Or no, it's in the front building, right, closest to the street?
Oh.
Yeah,
So it's-
Out on
the
Washington-
front,
out on
So
Broadway?
it kind of
Yeah.
faces
That's where
the
V&A
fire.
was.
yeah, the
yeah,
front
yeah.
door faces
Okay,
the
yeah, yeah.
fire department.
I had the wrong place, okay.
So it's 700 square feet, and I wanted to put 5 stations in. Maybe have 3 to 4 other girls working with me.
Okay, so you're gonna rent out chairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And
Okay. Anything else, folks?
No?
No, good.
Good.
That's
Good
it,
to go.
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, young lady. Okay. I guess we're going to a deliberation, or we want to go into executive
Why
session?
don't we do deliberations?
Hmm?
Let's do
Yeah,
deliberations.
why don't we get deliberations
Let
out of the
them-
way?
Do deliberation?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say do
Deliberation?
deliberation,
Okay.
but I
The
don't know.
motion.
Ask the rest of the board. I don't know.
Okay, good, we're going to deliberation. Get a motion to move into deliberation?
Motion?
Okay, a second? Second? We
I'll
get a
second.
second to go into
Jim
deliberation?
Nobody wants to do it?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, first one up here would be, I guess it would be the special permit on special permit site plan. We can't- Yeah, it would be a special permit on Bill Ryan on State Street, where they're gonna put the car rental place. I get a motion to approve the special permit.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Well, wait a minute,
Oh.
because there's an issue here about sidewalks, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna get
Well,
over to the site plan next.
Would
This is
that
the
be the
special
Oh,
permit.
the special
site
permit,
plan?
Yeah.
got it,
Yeah,
got it, got it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Yep, fair enough.
yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, nobody, okay, very good. Okay, let's take the site plan, which is P 1845, the site plan for the same property. I'd like to get a motion to approve, and we should have some conversation on this before we do because of the sidewalks. Can I get a motion? Can I get a second for the motion?
I will make a motion to approve.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Now, talk about the sidewalks, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the places, for me, that we were trying to get sidewalks, is up and down State Street. I mean, it's been a big issue all the way along up and down State Street, and we've let some people off when they weren't doing much, but this is doing something. They're putting in, so, I mean, my pitch, I think we need to have the sidewalks. This is an opportunity to get them, and we should get
You're
them.
talking more than what is shown on the plan.
More that, yeah, I think they should have put it, I
What-
still don't understand why we're accepting plans without it having them. They should show it and
You
then
know-
ask for
you
it
know
like
why.
the other one. Yeah, I do know why, but I don't like that we're accepting them, because like Mr. Zerlis gave us a plan and it shows them. He doesn't want them, but he showed them. They should show.
After I had reviewed it, and I hear you loud and clear, as I reviewed it, I looked and I saw that they were only partially shown. They were shown partially, okay?
For
And
the
I
lease
called-
area.
Yeah, and I called the engineer and said, I misunderstood, what you
All
were
right,
saying. And you
fair.
say,
Okay, stuff
well,
happens. Stuff happens.
we asked for it, and what I get, and
Can you tell us how much potentially additional sidewalk we're talking about?
I guess.
Jim, in the word that you're bringing a sidewalk, it's a good point, because I was gonna talk about, it's gonna be soon, they're gonna come in back to the other side that they have just sold, and they're gonna wanna put a building there.
Right.
So there will be sidewalks on both sides if we put sidewalks on this side. So
Right.
there's certainly something to look at.
But they won't be connected.
Right, unless we
But
make them connect.
There's not, well, there's only a driveway keeping them apart, like.
No, there's
A lot more than
land
that.
there.
Yeah, I know, but not a lot, I don't think there's.
Okay, but
That's
it's
why
all
I
one
asked the
parcel
question.
right now.
How much?
And I'm gonna say that that's part of North Haven that is going to develop. We know that State Street is developing with the train station that's gonna come.
And State Street's a big deal,
Yeah.
and I've driven down there and seen people walking on the street, and it's scary as heck, especially at night. So, now I don't wanna So we're asking how big it is,
He
or
is
how
right
much it
now.
costs, yeah.
How many linear feet, just so we know what we're
Yeah,
talking
I
about.
understand, I get
yeah.
it, that's fair.
Well, I mean, we could even say that we want so many feet, and then he comes back with the other plan, we want the other half.
And I'm not understanding what you're saying
maybe
to
we
me.
can't, though. No,
Are
we
you
can't.
saying to me that they're, when they develop more of the lumber yard,
Yes.
that they'll have to come in and we can ask for more sidewalk then?
Whoever bought that piece that they just sold, they're gonna come back.
You're talking about the price was,
So they're
but
gonna-
that's not,
But
that's a
that's not
separate
No,
parcel.
but I say there, we need to put sidewalks there. I was thinking about putting sidewalks there
Yeah.
when they come back.
But then we would have a piece where they're talking now and the piece in front of Enterprise where the gap would
There
not.
would be a gap.
It's about 650 total for all of it, and they show about 150. So let's say 500 more.
500 feet
An
of,
additional
sidewalk.
500
An
feet.
additional 500.
That's a lot to ask somebody to do for,
And
how big is this building?
I'd have to reevaluate the bond too.
1,800
I think the
square
bond
feet.
number,
1,800 square feet, not a
the
very
bond
big.
number I have in there, I think is just for the lease area front, so I'd have to
Yeah, I
rework
get it.
that, but we could do that.
That's a lot. And I'm not looking to bankrupt anybody, but you know, we just don't get a lot of opportunities, but someday, you know, I mean, I don't want the lumberyard to go out of, the lumberyard still in business as a lumberyard?
Yeah,
Oh,
it is. It's operating pretty well.
Very much so, yeah.
So maybe we wait for whatever, that's a lot. I'll concede that. That's a lot to ask somebody to
I
do.
think we can get another.
For some reason, when the Enterprise property came in, they made a separate plea afterwards. I wasn't around for the approval, the original approval, but I was around for the plea, and they were waived. And I think they were principally waived because at Unicor, it's not really possible to get sidewalks in there.
Unicor, right.
So that took out the end, and I think
guess.
that was the logic
I
behind
don't know,
that.
what's everybody think? What do you think?
Well, I think
much?
we gotta get something. Well,
No, we're
I mean,
gonna
that's
get
a bit
something.
much.
There isn't a question about getting something. We're gonna get the stuff that's in front of what they're building.
Right.
That I think we're all in agreement that we want that. It's the additional piece that they said that's not shown.
Well, I
But
don't
it's
really know,
500
Jim, what makes sense there, you know, but I mean, if we're gonna stop it somewhere, we gotta
What if
stop
we
it
could
where
get
where
maybe
it's sensible.
another 50 feet out of them, make it 2? And then when they come back and when
But it's just
National
so
does
arbitrary.
something else, well, I know it's arbitrary, but
Well, yeah, I know, but
I mean, if you tie it to their lease limit line, that at least has some logical sense. This is the area they're gonna occupy, and that's
Right.
what they show.
There
It's
is a lease
150.
limit line
Yeah.
that goes a little further.
No,
Goes to
That's
they
what
show-
they're showing.
that's
the
what
150,
yeah, that's what
right.
they
No,
show,
that
right.
we're gonna.
well, I guess we're gonna
There's
get
no
that.
way we're waiving that.
I mean, how much
don't
of
think.
town can we go with? Is there gonna be more developing south of that?
North of it.
Well,
I think it's all
Herb
right.
Pierce came in somewhere in the last 14 years that I recall, and they got a site plan approval, and there were no sidewalks required. South of that, the Cons purchased the old New Haven body
Yeah,
site. They're coming at you.
yeah, we weren't kidding.
Well, I mean,
Beyond
so-
that,
Big
you got
deal right there.
a utility, you got a substation, you
Right.
got water company property. Not much going
We're not gonna get
north or south.
Get what
of
you can
it.
get. Whatever you guys wanna do.
Well, get
I'm
what
good
you
with.
can get means what?
Means, what's sensible.
Well, and I'm gonna say this while our town attorney is here, because I've said it 100 times. Listen, other towns do it, I'm sure Mr. Zerlis knows about it. This would be a perfect opportunity to say, okay, you don't wanna put the sidewalks in there, let's take some money and let's make a sidewalk fund so we can put them where they're needed on the other side where we don't have them.
Right,
So
well-
I'm gonna ask again
Yeah,
as
that
part of.
doesn't help us.
No,
No.
okay, but I'm gonna
But
say
they-
it, and I'm gonna ask our town attorney to look at that again, because I know other towns do it, and I don't understand why we cannot,
Okay,
so.
another time, Jim, don't get into that. Okay,
So, I don't know, but what does everybody wanna do? What do you wanna do?
I wanna at least, I'd like to ask for 200, that's all. I know it's arbitrary, but I think it just pushes us a little further.
where does that put you, town engineer?
50 feet further than we were.
Yeah, it's-
Gets us onto the,
Hallelujah.
Don't know in there.
closer to the big log.
Closer to the.
Yeah. Look down. I tell you the truth.
Well, no, it doesn't, but that is exactly.
Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, Ron, what do you think? I don't know.
I think 500's a lot,
500's a lot.
but I'd be willing to go 100.
So, How much is what they're
100,
proposing?
100 more.
So he'd
Roughly
he'd be willing to go
150.
250.
They're what, so you wanna go to 250?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll agree to that.
250?
250,
Okay.
an additional 100 feet.
So go from the
okay with
southerly
you?
line.
Yeah,
250 feet.
Okay.
And I'll adjust the bond accordingly.
okay.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Thank you. All right,
Okay, so we do have the motion, we do have a second, but this is with the, Jim, you want to put that in there, whoever made this motion?
This is with the.
Whoever second, I don't even know, who ma- Huh?
Do you want me to amend the motion?
Yeah, Ron's amended the motion.
I'd like to amend my motion to include the condition that the sidewalk be extended an additional 100 feet to the north.
From what's shown on the plan.
Yes, extended, yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Is that clear enough, Andy?
good enough. We have a motion, we have a second, we have it finished up, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, good, that's okay. Okay, now on the same, we take the CAM for State Street, 381 State Street, it's P18-45A, and a motion to approve the CAM.
Motion to approve.
Okay, have a second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good, that's done. We have, I don't think we got everything on the page before, did we? I thought we
Cinemark.
skipped over.
Cinemark, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Cinemark, right. Cinemark, can we get a motion to approve?
The second one,
19.
19.
Yeah, it's
Item
the
2.
P
1916.
1916. The Cinemark,
I'll make a motion that we approve it, subject on what are we saying, for purpose of discussion?
Yeah, I'll second that.
all in favor?
No, for purposes of
For purposes
discussion.
of discussion.
Yeah, I know, you wanna get a, you still gotta get an approval to
That's fine.
discuss it, if you're gonna discuss
Right.
it.
Okay.
All right,
for
does everybody
discussion.
wanna discuss this?
Yeah.
Okay,
It seems
good.
like the biggest problem is that the cinema doesn't want the liability. You can't blame them.
It doesn't even sound like
For
that
what's
is
that?
the problem.
Oh,
But you're gonna have kids or people walking on it right away. They get hurt, fall down.
But it was a condition of
Yeah.
approval, they have
hold
no
on.
choice.
This is what the holdup
Hey,
is. The
I'm
lawyers are fighting because they can't, they wanna know who's gonna be liable if somebody
I'm
gets
sorry.
hurt there.
Can we
Louis,
hold on one?
Louis, Lou, we're not
Hold on,
talking
hold
about.
on one. Wait a minute, just a little point of order. As much as I enjoy hearing Lou's opinion, we're in an odd
Oh, yeah.
situation here
He can't.
where we have all 5 sitting members.
Right.
Lou can speak during the entire hearing, but he
Not now.
can't speak
Not now,
during the
right.
deliberations at this point. So
Okay.
I hate to
Okay.
bring that up and stifle your one comment in the whole evening, but.
Let's get this thing back on
I'm just trying to
track.
bring up a point where the bottleneck is.
Well, you can't though, so we're striking all that.
Okay,
So, let me start the discussion. I'm very cognizant that the approval 4 years ago said they gotta give this trail. And I understand what you think about it and what the people think about it, and they've agreed that they need to do it. I'm worried tying it into something that has nothing to do with it, but that's what I was bringing up before. When these approvals happen, it's much like sidewalks at one of our big parcels on Washington Avenue. It's pissing me off because it's been approved 8 years ago and we still don't have any sidewalks and we can't make them. So I don't know this application, which otherwise is inoffensive, just it does nothing. It's making the subdivision that's probably better for them to market and get something else in there, that we tie into it. And I think we've let them know pretty clearly, at some point, we're gonna say no. Now, if we want to say this is the point, but I don't know this is the one, because there's really not too much that's objective here, that we could say, what, if we say no, what's the basis for saying no? And it can't be that you haven't done something that you're not yet required to do. That's my reservation about it. I think we've made it painfully clear that, listen, the time's gonna come, we're gonna say no, because you haven't done this. I just don't know that this is the one. My gut feeling is that this is not the time to do that. And our town attorney keeps nodding her head at me.
that's correct. she said before, this, we cannot do that in any
She
event.
didn't exactly say you can't, but it's
Well-
not terribly advisable.
It is,
I think that the applicant got the message from the board that we're getting a little bit anxious about it, and they're gonna be coming back again, and we have to look at
So,
things,
but she's here, we can
Okay.
hear from her,
All
I
right.
guess, during deliberations, right?
yes.
Let me just say this. At about 3 o'clock this afternoon, I received 22 emails to bring me up to speed as to where everything was at with this. And it appeared in the fall of last year, actually, that everything was ready to be signed. And then again, you know, in April, there were changes that were proposed. I mean, we heard very clearly, I know that Mr. Schmitz addressed you as well with regard to this. They did not have those changes until
Right.
today. They were sent today. So, I mean, again, on those facts, I don't know, you know, how you impose a condition that really has nothing to do with this application. That's before you. I think you have to decide it. And look, I'm happy to report back through staff. I gave Mr. Schmitz my card, asked that he make sure that I'm copied on correspondence going back and forth. You know, if there is any back and forth on what was proposed, which I looked at it, there probably will not be. And the attorney for Cinemark is somebody that I dealt with on the tax incentive, so I could always reach out to him and have a conversation with him and report back to you as to the status of it. So that way you know when it's actually done.
Just to play devil's advocate, not that, and I hear you saying we could not really put it as a condition, but we could say no.
Oh, you could say no.
But we'd have to have some real reason to say
I'm
no.
not familiar with the application that's before you.
Yeah. But you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, of course.
We
No,
still
I'm not-
could
I'm
say,
not telling
hey, you
you.
haven't done what you're supposed to do. No, but I don't
Yeah.
think we have the basis for saying no.
We'd
That's
lose
what I
in
mean by
court on
devil's
that one, for
advocate.
sure.
I don't think, but, so I think we gotta let them know, it's like, listen, you gotta get this done, or the time's gonna come, we're gonna say no. But I just don't see this is the one. This was such kind of a pretty nothing to me.
we knew it was coming,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So, so my feeling is that we should just pass it, but.
Okay, so will you make a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, I was the only one that talked. Is anybody else going to talk?
Oh,
Yes, but nobody else.
We have a motion and a
That was
second.
made in a
We're in
second.
discussion at this
it
point.
was for discussion, right? Well, Ron is,
Well, but it was a motion to approve for
For
discussion.
discussion, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're still discussing.
Okay,
I now shut up.
okay, well, we'll keep discussing. Are we all set?
No.
No,
okay,
somebody
go ahead.
who wants to discuss.
Go ahead.
Nice to ask everybody.
Keep going.
Short answer, short discussion is, I agree with Jim's position. Morally, I would like to do something differently, but I've been educated quite a bit today about what my legal rights are, and I think that this might be the wrong time to draw a line in the sand. That doesn't mean there won't be other times in the future
Exactly.
when lines can be drawn in the sand. And I think that, as Jim mentioned, the client and all of the various attorneys hopefully have refocused their attention on this and the fact that there's a lot of people in town who are only asking Cinemark to stand behind what they said they were going to do 4 years ago. And it shouldn't take 4 years. It shouldn't be such a big deal. So I will be probably reluctantly voting in favor of this and have to put up with the wrath of the people who are against it, so. That's all
Okay.
I have to say.
If it means anything, that's an extraordinarily high bond to have at this time.
right.
Yeah, but that hasn't made a move yet.
Obviously, they don't
In-
care.
In hindsight, I wouldn't have reduced the bond
There you
the
go.
first time, had I known, but each time I was assured by town staff that the easement was that close away. So I will no longer take the word of town staff,
There you go.
that it's that close, so.
Well, and, you know, important to note that there was one staff member who was working on this, and that was former town engineer Jonathan
understand.
Bodwell.
All right, let's not blame the
everything
guy
was-
not in the room.
Well,
Okay, let's vote.
No, what I can
Come on,
say
let's-
is
we gotta
that
keep going here.
I'm not a part of this
Jesus.
development of this easement,
I tell you the
and I
truth,
don't make
Teresa.
representations
Listen,
for
I'm
the
gonna give him the
developer.
courtesy to do
So-
this.
Yeah.
And I would like to make a regular motion to approve.
I will
this
second that.
application.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second to approve it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hallelujah. Okay, so we're gonna pass on Christ Church, that's been continued.
But can we just make a motion to continue
Can I get a
that?
motion to continue?
I'll make that motion.
A sec.
Church,
I get it.
1917.
Hope Church, number
19.
3.
1917S.
Ron Fenton made the motion.
Okay, Ron made a motion, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, so now we'll get down to 85 Saca Point Road, which is talk about waiving sidewalks and the pond and waiving the sprinkler system, the irrigation system. It's a 9,000-foot building. Okay, take it from there, we'll talk about this.
Can I make
By all
a
means.
proposed, okay, I would like to recommend approval with the following conditions. That the sidewalks be waived, that the irrigation system be waived only behind the setback of the front of the building. What I mean is that if you take a line along the front of the building, everything from there to the street does need to be irrigated. And with the condition that the street side of the building have an architectural wainscot feature added to the bottom of the windows.
Jennifer, I gotta consult with you on that.
And one last thing, and that no permanent outside storage be allowed.
Yep,
Yeah, I think
outside
that's in
storage.
there, but, yeah.
Can we demand putting wainscot on the building?
Not if we had an architectural review, but we could.
I don't see a problem with asking somebody
Okay.
to do something like that.
Good enough.
I think it's fine.
Can't?
Let me,
I think it's fine.
You think it's okay?
I think it's
Good enough.
You're talking about across the front elevation?
Yes,
Okay, and by wainscot, you mean, say, from finished slab to what height?
bottom of the windowsill. Isn't that what's commonly
They have
done?
no windows,
Well, they do in the
No, you
office.
said there were
Yes,
gonna
they
be
do.
windows in the office.
okay?
that's what he
That will
said.
establish the elevation of the wainscot.
That could also be concrete, it could also be block.
Would
Yeah.
it be block,
At the architect's discretion.
Right.
Okay.
He
So
wants
a
it not to look like
masonry
a
wainscot?
blockhouse.
Well, that's, would be preferred, but if they could figure out how to do it out of metal, just something to break up this
Yeah.
modest
Architectural
slab.
feature to
Yeah.
break up the front
Yeah.
elevation.
Yeah. Be good. Okay.
Let me tell you my take on it, and this is the sidewalks, because I want it very clear that I like sidewalks, but sidewalks are not everywhere, and sometimes, in some roads, are gonna be just one side of the street. And we've got them on the other side of the street, they don't have them on this side, I can live with
Yeah,
that.
that's why, since they're on the other side of
Right.
the street.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
We have the motion. Yeah. We have a second?
Didn't Rich second?
Did you second it?
I'll
Not
second
yet,
it.
no.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Rich
So we have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Okay, very good. We can go, just move right down to bonds.
I might see
No,
some.
they, change of use.
Huh?
Change of
Oh,
use.
yeah.
Well, if you want.
Remember that what came up is if we waive the sidewalks, the bond should be reduced accordingly. So
Yes.
we just gotta make sure you make a note of that. It was 47,000 or 2,500, there's no sidewalks.
Right.
So-
The motion
That's
said
why-
waive
that's
the
why I put both
sidewalks,
numbers,
and
so
it's
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 actually
in
waived, so it
writing,
gets
so.
reduced.
Okay.
Okay, so we got that. Okay, so we're just gonna go step down to the bonds. I have the, we have the change of use, but we don't skip over for that. You wanna do the change of use?
Yeah, I make
Yeah,
the motion, we approve.
Okay.
I'll
have a-
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, then we'll back up to the bond releases.
Bond releases, okay, so first one, Slate School.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. He snuck out. So first one's Slate School. I have been out there, the wetlands released their bond, asking the same on P and Z. Now, they've come in with an additional application. They'll be posting bonds for that application, both the wetlands and P
That's
and
for
Z
the
as
front
well.
gate thing?
That's for the greenhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
some of the playscape things that they put in. But, I mean, you know, construction's done out there, so I thought it was reasonable for them to request it and for us to release it. And they're gonna be having to post bonds for their next phase anyway, so. So, that's it. $50,000 bond, that's what they've got left, and, yeah.
I make a motion to release the bond.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Second one?
Okay, next one's a little more complicated. This is Lexington Gardens. They sent a letter requesting a release of the $40,000 bond that the commission had required. The bond was in place for the sidewalks out in front on Middletown Ave and for the erosion control. Those are the reasons why the bond was put in place. The sidewalks are in. They're not done with all the site plan work. They're pretty close, but they're not done with everything. There's still disturbed soils. They still don't have vegetative cover everywhere. So what I was gonna recommend would be to cut the bond in half to $20,000. But I would certainly understand if you guys were reluctant to do
What's
that.
the other plus number? There's,
The other bond is posted so they can get their COs. So they post a bond that basically covers the balance of the site work that remains, so that they can pull COs for the completed
so
units
they're
as they
only
go.
requesting a reduction in the 40,000.
Yeah, they wanted the whole full 40 back.
Yeah.
But like I
Okay.
said, since the 40 was tied to both the sidewalks and the erosion control, and the erosion control is not done, I didn't feel comfortable to release that whole thing.
You're happy that
Give 'em the
20 will
20?
cover it if we have to do it?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, between the 20 and then the remaining
Okay.
bond that's there, there's certainly gonna be enough money to cover it, yeah.
Okay, I get a motion to release that 20,000.
Reduce it to 20,000. I'll make that
40 to
motion.
20, right.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to reduce the 40,000 portion to 20,000.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Kings Highway.
Yeah, last one is just kind of more of an update. I did not do a bond release form on this because they did send in a letter requesting that the full bond be released. The reason the bond was not released previously, and this has been around for a long time, they were supposed to put sidewalks in front of the development, and they were also supposed to put a catch basin and some drainage. I talked to the applicant, and he basically said that's never gonna happen.
Who is the applicant?
It was,
I think it was an LLC.
Decapula.
Decapula?
Decapula.
Yeah.
So,
It's a small subdivision, there was just a few lots that were built. The lot that actually fronts on Kings Highway is undeveloped. The remaining lots in the back, which I think there's only 2, are done. So
and how much of a bond do we have?
you've got a $20,000 bond.
Why would we give it back?
I'm not recommending that we
Okay.
do. I'm bringing it up to you because they sent in a bond request letter, and I did have a discussion with them. Clearly, they have no intention of putting the sidewalk or the drainage in, so.
This wasn't the subject of litigation, right? There was a piece?
No.
Okay. So can we, and this may be a discussion for another day, but can we take that money and put
Excuse me
the
a second.
sidewalk in ourselves?
Well, that's what we're supposed to do.
Ri-
We're getting to that point.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Richard and Mary, I hate to say this, but it's kind of distracting. I can't hear what these guys are saying. So you've got such a deep, rich baritone voice. It's just,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry about that. Yeah, not married.
Just for the record, Jennifer Coppola, this was not the property that was the subject of litigation. This is the first time I'm hearing
Right.
the stance that was taken.
Well, and apparently it was a
and-
stance that was taken
and-
quite a long time ago.
Yeah, you better take a look
And
at
I
this
just,
thing.
I just happened to step into it because they sent me a letter requesting the bond release. And I think they did that because I'm the new guy, so, you
Right,
know.
let's
But
trick the new
But
guy.
at some
So-
point, we should say, okay, enough's enough and go do it ourselves. That's why we have a bond.
I think
Right.
we should take a look at the timeline and.
How much bond
and
we have?
What type of bond
20,000.
and
Why,
take
why
care
do-
of that.
Why do we need to look at a timeline?
Yeah, why?
Well,
Let's just do
well,
it.
because we need to, I need to
You need to see if it's-
evaluate
I don't
whether or
think
not it's the
I
appropriate
don't think
time,
it's as
in
easy to
fact, to
pull the
call
bond
it.
as.
Yeah.
It's an 04 approval.
04.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, okay.
again, not an application
lot
I'm
of old
familiar
bits.
with, so.
It
Yeah,
may
we got a
not
bunch of
be a
look.
long
Trying to clean 'em up
look, but it's a
now.
look.
But
Okay,
we
so-
need to not let this drop off the table, though. I mean, it's like, so it should come up again, you know, and you could take a look at it and see what we need to do.
Sure,
And
yep.
then come back
Send
to
me,
us.
send,
and tell us
I'll
what-
consult
probably
with
send the
Jennifer, we'll figure it
appropriate
out.
letter.
And then will you let us
Give
know?
it time.
Absolutely.
All
yeah.
right, thank you. Okay, so we have to vote on this?
Yeah,
No,
just.
there's nothing to
No,
vote
there's
for.
nothing to
Not
vote
on
on.
there.
No,
Okay,
we're
right,
not
all right.
We're not doing anything with it. Okay, that's what we go there, and we got to change the use.
Our dates.
You gotta do the correspondence, it's okay with me. Okay, the meeting schedule, for 2020, meeting date.
I reviewed the meeting schedule. I would make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. And, minutes for May 6th, 2019 meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a second?
I'll
Have a
second.
second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Extensions, we're gonna go over these extensions. Alan?
There's no extensions, it's executive.
I mean, executive session, excuse me, what am I saying, extensions, Jesus. Okay, you're gonna go into executive session. I'm going to, leave things open here. We're gonna go into an executive session. I'm gonna
So-
invite Jennifer Coppola.
Well, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session. We invite the town attorney, Jennifer Coppola, the town engineer, and our land use
Okay.
administrator.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Okay, yep, well,
We on?
yeah.
Okay.
Ron.
Okay, folks, we're back, and we're out of executive session. We're gonna get a motion to move out of executive session. Jim?
I'll make a motion that we move out of executive session.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, okay, that was done, and now we need a motion to adjourn.
No,
No, no, no, no, no.
Where?
Her thing.
For the new date.
The executive.
We have to actually do a motion.
Right. So we have a motion regarding executive session.
Okay. I get a motion to go in executive session.
No.
No.
No, I have a motion regarding our former executive session. I make a motion to authorize
Oh, what?
Town Council Jennifer Coppola and Zoning Enforcement Officer Laura Magaracci, Land Use Administrator Alan Frederickson, and Town Engineer Andrew Bevilacqua to negotiate the final terms of a stipulation for judgment in the pending action of Laura Magaracci et al. Versus Robert P. Newbig et al., which stipulation shall include, but not be limited to, terms which allow for the release of a cash bond in the amount of $8,000 currentely being held against the subject property at 480 Valley Service Road for zoning application number P11-05S to be held by the town or held in escrow by one or both of the parties' counsel, to be dispersed solely for payment of expenses or costs associated with the proper removal and disposal of all solid waste from the property in compliance with all applicable statutes and regulations.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Do we
Okay.
need
Jennifer,
to-
do we
do
need anything on the other
about the
things? We
second
don't need
issue?
anything, correct?
No, I do not need anything on number 3 and 4.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Make a motion to adjourn.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.